You are welcome to Matter TV documentary series. With us here today is Sister Clarice Orji, the principal of Handmaids Holy Child Juniorate, Amumara, isn't it, in Bisa in Imo State? Sister, please, can you tell us about Handmaids Juniorate, Amumara, and the reason for this school?
Thank you. The establishment of Handmaids Holy Child Juniorate, Amumara, was the brainchild of Mother Mary Gertrude Watorocha of blessed memory. Mother Gertrude is or was one of the first foundation members of the congregation of the Handmaids of the Holy Child Jesus. Mother Mary Charles Magdalene Walker, our foundress, the woman who brought religious life to the whole of West Africa, came to Nigeria 100 years ago. We're actually celebrating the centenary of her arrival this year in Calabar. She came in 1923 to uplift the women, the girl child, the children, and the poor. When she landed in SS Akabo at the seashore of Calabar in 1923, the Obong of Calabar welcomed her because they had already been told that she came for good. And you know, those days, arrival of missionaries had something great for any land. Why I mention her specifically is because I can't talk about the Juniorate, the girl child, and Amumara without mentioning our foundress, Mother Charles, who loved to go launch into the deep, go to the hinterland, go to those places where many people would naturally not want to go to. So it's almost like the same vicinity here. And Mother Gertrude that I mentioned was one of her daughters. When she landed in Calabar, there were many girls she was training through the Montessori method, and the Montessori method of education is the best educational system for any child. So she brought this from England. She's English, but was an Irish sister of charity who longed to go to the missions. When Bishop Shanahan asked nuns to come and help in Africa, she and some other sisters opted to come, but her congregation was afraid of losing her. So they insisted she must appeal to Rome so that anything that happens to her or her vows, she's on her own. She stood her ground for 10 years where the debate was going. Are you going to white man's grave? And she stood her ground and came out to Africa. She didn't know where, all she knows is the map, a dot, Africa in the map. So when she traced Shanahan, and it was in Nigeria, in Calabar there was an existing school already run by the St. Joseph Sisters of Clooney, who all died of malaria. But when she got there, she decided to revive the place through the education system, this Montessori method, and then other areas of nursing. Like when Slessor left, people thought that was the end of the twin killing, but it continued because the twin mothers themselves were also affected. The other children they gave birth to were affected, so she took pity on them. So apart from the education system, she went into the other aspects of nursing the girl child and the women. So this spurred a lot of hope in the first children she gathered, Mother Gertrude inclusive. There are other 3 girls, one from Cameroon, and the other from Togo, and another from Calabar, who went to her and said, "Mother, we would like to be like you." Whatever that meant, maybe they didn't know. But when she also appealed to Rome, and they said she would start a formation house to train the first Africans to become sisters. So with this heritage, Mother Gertrude had this in mind that someday, somewhere, because according to our mother founders, she envisaged that in years to come there will be convents of sisters scattered all over Africa to take care of the girl child and the women. So there flows our heritage. So when we had other juniorates in other parts of Nigeria and we didn't have any in Igbo land at all, and opportunity came, this land was fallow. This place used to be a trade center for women years back. So when after the war, and the Immaculate Heart sisters who were here before didn't come back. I got this story very much from Monsignor Walo, who they made an appeal that sisters should come here. And one of the aspirants then from here, Amumara, Sister Evangeline Enyi, God bless her soul, highlighted the point we are going to talk about now. That is how we came to be here. Being a postulant, she had one-on-one discussion with Mother Gertrude and told her that the people were talking about this land and that they had begged the other sisters who left to come back and they wouldn't come back, and the place could be taken over by any other group. Oh, that was a good opportunity, and every other arrangement was made between Mother Gertrude and Bishop Mark Onebo between 1985 and 1987. In 1987, I wrote the entrance examination to come in here in 1988. So coincidentally or providentially, the school started at the same time the diocese took off. So in 1988, this place came to be. We all arrived here, 66 of us, on January 22nd, 1988. And that's how the Juniorate came to be. The initial funds to build the academic block were brought by this couple over there, John McShane and the wife, through Mother Gertrude.
Okay, having said that, who can attend Handmaids Holy Child Juniorate?
Over the years, this question have changed, because maybe you will get to know. Before, it used to be every Catholic who has a young girl who has received communion and has the deepest desire to become a sister, a religious, and has finished her primary 6, can now come in. After a while, it became anybody could come, but you must be a Catholic, baptized Catholic. Even if you don't have the initial zeal to become a sister, just come and be trained and be a good woman. But now, too, we still have all those, but treating every case according to its merits, because you could have parents who are not of the same faith. The father wants the child in the juniorate to do everything. The mother says, no, she can just come, let her just join them, but when she comes back to us, she can be what we want her to be. So we can always strike a balance. We help them. Maybe you write an undertaking on behalf of the child of good behavior. Along the line, you nurture her and she decides to embrace the faith. And we are good to go. She's baptized, she receives communion, and she's confirmed.
Okay. Sister, will you want to share with us a little story of your encounter with this school, having said that you're one of the pioneer students of this place back 1988? What do you have a vocation story where connected to this school?
Of course I do. Yeah, I'm like intertwined, niched, you know. You can't really separate me now from this juniorate, because I have spent more of my quality time here. I came in here when I was 10 years old, and after 6 years, I started teaching here. I started my teaching career. The very day I dropped my YA pen. I started teaching. And after a few months, I joined the religious life. I was hooded as a postulant and sent back here to do my community experience. After 1 year, I entered the novitiate. And after the canonical year, I was sent back here on apostolic work as a novice. Then after profession, I was sent to other juniorates. I have been to all our juniorates and the minor seminary in Calabar, Immaculate Conception Seminary, for 7 years. And after that, I went to another school of ours. 3 years after I was there, there was need to revive Mbise Girls. And I spent 1 year in Mbise Girls. And I'm taking a deep breath. Providence brought me back here approximately 10 years ago. So the past 10 years I have been here. So if you add the years I have mentioned and my normal age, you know that greater percentage has been spent on this soil that nurtured me. So it's like we are married.
Sister, you have said much about your experience as an alumna of the institution, and could you please tell us some of the experiences that you had then that has also helped you, especially in your apostolate as the principal now?
Having been privileged to be with, speak with, listen to the first foundation member, in fact, the first superior general of the congregation of the Handmaids of the Holy Child Jesus, Mother Mary Gertrude Machorocha, the brain behind this juniorate. There is this, will I say, spiritual encounter. You know, like, I also needed to be like Mother. She told Mother, I'd love to be like you. But I never had the courage to say it to her. But outwardly, if you ask me that time, do you want to be a sister? Don't know. But as the script played, I just found myself going to the next step, and enjoying every bit of it. Understand? So, the pioneering experience wasn't sweet though. It wasn't sweet. We suffered here. Hardship, hunger, insecurity. The place was not fenced. There was always that fear of running away from ghosts, because we were told that this was an abandoned soil, place where they were throwing cups and all that. There was no water to get water. Now people are drilling borehole here, but the depth of this place, I don't think there's any depth like that in Mbise. This Amumara is quite deep. So we were going to Imo River 2 times every day, first thing in the morning and in the evening, to take our bath. We were not allowed to bathe there like every other child. So we come back and share that water between us, our teachers, the cooks, and the sisters. So those, but it wasn't really difficult for some of us that were at home brought up. I'm a native chicken. I'm a home brought up, so it wasn't. It was like a normal experience. But for most of our students who came from very diverse cultures, like that was the question. It looked like I evaded. I didn't have the time to get back to it. We had people from Kano, we had Hausas, we had Yorubas, we had many people from Anambra, many people from River State. The spread was large, actually. 66 of us, many could not speak our language at the same dialect, so it was really a problem for most of them to cope. So many fell off along the way. We were 28 that graduated, but between 1988 and 93, when we sat for our WAEC, we would say as a class, if nobody left, we would have been up to 200. The people were coming and going. Some spent 1 week, some 2 weeks. If they can't cope, they will go. The road too was something else. So the road they are experiencing today hasn't been this. It has been bad, but in different ways. Maybe it's not as deep as it is, but being bad, it has always been bad. So I thank our parents who persevered and allowed us to be here. So the pioneering experience, the other aspect that touched me personally, or maybe I would say made me part of what I am today, is that I became a senior prefect at a very tender age in my JSS 3. I was 13 going to 14 when I became a senior prefect, and I undertook that duty till I started becoming a teacher. So the quiet me became very, very extroverted. So maybe the real me is still struggling to show. But responsibility made me become more mature than maybe I could have been. I thank God for the exposure. It was hellish. The principal, my principal, Sister Maria Pepeto Azumara, the pioneer principal, was something else in formation. One could say she went to an extreme, knowing how tender we were that time. But because of that initial objective, form them, train them, they need to know the truth. The church needs them.
Could you please tell us some of those things that our parents today will look towards, that would attract them, that will make them to send their children to this noble institution?
I would think that that question would be better answered by those out there. You know, why are you bringing your child? I don't know why they are bringing their children, but if you ask me, as you have done, I may say, could be what they heard, could be what they saw, could be maybe the products that all the other alumni that are scattered all over the world, because we have a very large spread, and the formidable Old Girls Association we have too. Can you imagine that we have up to 20 children here who are children of old girls? They are here. So that shows that they're gaining something. They remember that they gained something. Those of them who didn't want to, or who felt they were not called. Because even today, some of them will say, I wish I became a sister. I don't know what happened. Anyway, since my children are here, that's fine. So I would think that the quality of education they are getting is attracting them. One, we are real. We are very real. The place is affordable. The environment is serene. At least you have your eyes. Aesthetics too speaks. And we are trying our best in spirituality to see that we please God. We pay our teachers very well. There is no school in this Imo state that pay teachers the way we do. So our welfare package for our teachers cannot be compared to anything. I heard that from my teachers. I didn't hear it from my table, I heard it from them. So if anybody would be asking, where can I? Hearing all these things, filtering. And more so, we say zero tolerance to exam malpractice. So in a society where that's the order of the day, many parents would want to buy certificates, but there are still some. I don't want to believe that the society has got so bad. There are still some who still hold on to good values. The value system is still okay for them, who would want the certificate their child claims be theirs. So, and that accounts to also the few number you saw in the hall. Too many schools will have 70, 100. Not that we can't have it, but they get to a certain level, SS2, they run to miracle centers. So, if any parent is not for miracle center, she's for a place like this.
Can you briefly tell us some of the achievements within your time as a principal, and also some of the experiences that you have had, especially that had to shape the method and also the way you have been able to pilot the affairs of the...
Yeah, I said achievement. I don't think I'm comfortable with that. because it will look like it's about me, but I call it grace, special grace, amazing grace. It has led me thus far, and hinging on one of those biblical quotes from Ephesians 4:13. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And then on most of the sayings of our mother founders, Charles Walker, about how things go, divine grace. God has led me and I followed. So going by that, I also want to remind you that I'm only a principal here. We are a team of formators. I haven't done anything alone. So I haven't achieved anything alone. There are many people I have worked with over the years. People also came before me. As you can see, we have the pioneer principal, the second person, the third person before me. So a lot of things have been put in place before my arrival. So I can't really claim anything because I wouldn't have built in the air. So the foundation was solid before I came. So I would also say that from what they told me, from what I saw as a student, I discovered that it wasn't easy funding this place in the first place. I think I mentioned that Mother Gertrude got fund from a couple, McShane. They had an only daughter whom I traced till last year to discover she died early last year. A sister. She became a Holy Child sister who was actually longing to know where the funds, the charity funds of her parents went. Propaganda Fide too was instrumental to building this place. The first principal trained in Rome, so she had some connections and was very good at writing grants. So also the other ones. I think I'm the only one who hasn't written any grants. God has been writing my own grants for me through benefactors. So I have got contact of some people who were very outstanding. Some I didn't invite. I really don't know how to beg, but somehow my encounter with them changed this place. Because when I came in 2014, there were needs. Like I said, there was good foundation. We needed a lot of maintenance culture. Our refectory was begging for a change then. And so when I came in contact with our beloved Lucius Isaac Ahmad Musu, who died last year, he built the refectory that we are enjoying today. The best dining hall east of the Niger in any school. So that was a very big relief. Then again, my predecessor, Sister Martha Carlo, appealed to a lot of well-meaning people around Mbisi to help in ICT, but she didn't stay to see it happen. I was just in the office one day and people barged in more or less. I was scared. They were asking too many questions, sent by this, sent by that. In the end, it was that the Ministry of Education sent them to be sure that this place existed. And in 2 days, they brought lorry loads of what we have today as our ICT center. We started coupling. That was how we started stealing the idea for CCTV camera. So how would we have been able to do that? So we were tapping from the solar. That was my first time of seeing solar. I was hearing about it. That was the first time I could imagine that I could stay 24 hours with lights. I walk comfortable. So, it's rare to have some of those things inside the bush like this. So part of what makes us unique. So, and then some old girls too became very interested. Those who were married to rich parents and rich husbands, like the chapel that time needed some touch. It was at the roofing level, and they came in and made sure that the sanctuary. You have a time to go there, right? The sanctuary, the altar, the lectern, everything, the tabernacle. we all got them within 1 week. And you know, that millions of naira. So some of these things happened in such a way that I don't know how else to explain it except that it's grace, special grace. And then I had good PTA executive. They were very, very understanding. So when the next line of thought was landscaping, so we started gradually in phases. What you see today wasn't done in a hurry. I think it took 4 years in segments. We started, saw how much it took us as a school from our little balance at the end of the term, and then we called their attention because the place was very muddy. We were losing our shoes, our sandals and canvas and all that. And then since I love beauty and I love nature, so we say let us make it better. And after meetings, we agreed that that would be their project, and they have carried it on till this very time. So good people have always come around me. I thank God for their lives, both those living and the dead. We will actually miss our daily issues. We miss him.
There is this popular opinion today, and in fact, I intend to agree with it, that Handmaids Holy Child Juniorate ranks top among the citadels of learning in Imo State, and in fact, up in Nigeria. What is this, your educational philosophy and your institutional priorities that has got you to this standard?
They want to know. Okay. I know when I spoke the last time, I talked about zero tolerance for exam malpractice. It's the order of the day. I hope I'm not going to scandalize you. You can count how many schools that are not directly or indirectly involved in exam malpractice. They come in different shades. Some play the ostrich. Some administrators think they want to show everybody they are not aware it's happening, but they send their dean of studies, they send their teachers, or they travel so that if anything happens, they don't call them. It's a very difficult decision to take, because you're not going to stand alone. You're going to crush people and people are going to crush you. I'm not also telling you that it's easy here. It's a continuous fight, because no matter what you pay someone, still wants more. So if they have other means of grabbing small naira into their pockets, they will still do it. But if your team 90% is for you in fighting a particular societal evil, I think you will excel. That's one of the strong points
in this school. Like the students, we've been able to inculcate in them self-confidence. Like in this school, we have zero tolerance to exam malpractice. Even both in our internal exam and external exam, students can comfortably sit and write the exam without no edge.
The aim and objective of my school is to train students through citizen and holistic education.
Lately, we had to say no to provisions. You enjoyed it in the minor seminary, right? You enjoyed your auto. I also enjoyed auto. But the way we enjoyed it these days, we are cautious, we are sensitive, we are clean. Cleaner than this generation. They will use it, dump everywhere, mess everywhere up. So we're struggling with, what do we do? Yes, stop provision, lose candidates, lose students, have exodus. Stop provisions, they will fall sick. Stop provisions. Okay, I said, thank God I have special graces. Part of the issue here is that I studied home economics in the university. I am a lioness, in fact, a super lioness. In my second degree, I did child development and care. And in my PhD, family and human development. So these are things that have come up practically and theoretically, how to really manage the little space, the little resource, and manage mentality. So we did not care about losing students. So we had stringent measures. If you want to go, go. If you want to stay, we will form you. It may have been high-handedness, yes, but at the long run, we have achieved our aim. Now, we are proud of the fact that we were able to say no, no, end provision. Let us feed these children well. I would also emphasize there is no school around that feeds their children the way we do. If you notice, I call children more or less. I don't call students because of that mother care. We are connected. I do the shopping, most times I do the cooking, I do the managing, I do the packaging. They eat well, they look well. When you see them, you know that they don't look like students in the boarding house. Before, it was war with them and their parents. They didn't want that, but we have achieved our aim. Now they are better academically, morally, they are better. Distractions have gone down. Sickness, ill health, most of those things we were eating, we were not washing those plates in the cupboard. Rat and cockroach will help you and clean some of the remaining pots. But when you now come and everything is decent, your food is assured, quality and quantity. The menu, maybe we'll show you the menu at the back of the door. When you look at our menu, you want to live here because it's like a mini restaurant, So we feed children well. So our care, when you give children the care they require, they are happy, even though they may be grumbling because of the freedom they don't have. Parents will also be happy. They are seeing. These are visible signs, something. There are things that speak for themselves. So when you combine academics with morals, with good feeding, and then over what that Nollywood actor they say, the kwata of them all is that at least we sabi pray. Spirituality, our spiritual life is at least, I can't rate it, but God knows. Yes, God knows that it's okay. We join the church to sanctify the hours. It's only 1 hour we don't do. We do Lord's, we do Vespers, we do Compline. On Sundays, there are 4. We do midday. That's with the church. And the other prayers, we have Mass every day. We have adoration every week. Other spiritual exercises, confession, examination of consciousness, and all those things that will make a child who really wants to love God, to come closer. We do them. We can't achieve 100% closeness, but then we have set the ball rolling for every child who wants to get close to God, every child who wants to learn, because we have also employed qualified teachers. Qualified in every sense of it. We don't pick from the roadside. And then the domestic staff are there up and doing, caring for them. Every member of the staff eats here. So since they eat from the same pot, you can't cook rubbish. The cook cannot go and cook after. So it's that very thing that they are feeding the children with. So you do it. And to get all that done, we've been able to establish or continue to improve on what others have done. The poultry that I worked in as a student is still flourishing till today. So we have our meat sauce and we have our egg. The children eat egg 4 times every week. The fish pond is working. For the past 2 years, we have not bought fish from the market. We dry our fish. Then when we have ceremonies and we cannot lay hand on much chicken, we can slaughter cow. Yes, at least every term we slaughter 2 cows at least. So then the vegetables are doing very, very well. Those who follow us on our status, you will see we have cucumber flourishing, we have ugu, we have okra, we have every season makes us smile.
Today, education of the child is said to be more about modeling. I want to know to what extent are your teachers real models to their students, and what do you do, and what methods do you use to improve the instructional methods of your teachers?
just like I said earlier, my discipline, home economics, that's education home economics. I'm a vocational teacher education. We are actually the only ones who are trained to teach teachers. Yeah, that department in the University of Nigeria and Nsukka is known for that. And in curriculum management through and practice, which you must pass in segments before you graduate from UNN, was an emphasis, and that I also grabbed. Before I became a principal, I was teaching. I didn't just fly and became a principal. So I have been in the shoes of my teachers, and I know that instructional materials are very important. And it's one of those things that your supervisors look out for during your teaching practice. How can you turn this flower into a real instructional material? If, for instance, the biology teacher, agri teacher is teaching about petals in hibiscus, this one now is hybrid of hibiscus. It has about 4 stigmas, 4 very, very, very unique kind of plant. And a child is carrying the one with single petal. How are you going to explain this only through drawing? What do you do? So, like when I came here, I discovered there was no garden, where the children can see these things, admire them for what they are. So, the instructional materials they get from nature, both the students and the teachers, have really helped us. When we look around, there's always something to go to class with, apart from textbooks, which not every child can afford. But if a teacher knows that from time to time somebody is going to walk in, and what's still now, the CCTV camera is monitoring all of them, until we discovered the recent ones that have sound, which I'm sure you saw some people walking too. So if you don't want to go to class, I listen to your lecture from my office. After that, I call you to order. I praise you, you did well in this aspect, you did well in this aspect. But even you went with a bunch of broom today, it would have been better than going with a stick. Say, oh sister, did you watch me? So that consciousness that somebody is supervising you, let's remove monitoring or sniffing in or sneaking in on you. That somebody is supervising you and is appraising you and wants the best out of you. And then, like I said earlier, the packaging is okay. So they are happy. My teachers are relaxed. So they give in their best to the children. So teaching and learning becomes fun. You can also send the children to go and get some of these instructional materials. Many schools in the town, enjoy what you are enjoying. Run to the farm, go and get this, they'll go. But some schools don't have a farm. Some schools don't even have playground. In the area of sports too, there's nothing we don't have. Maybe we don't have a full dimension football pitch, but we have something at their own level. We have a basketball court, we have lawn tennis, we have table tennis, we have badminton, we have shot put. If it comes to running to our children, we have very serious sprinters here who can compete anywhere. The field outside there in the church also helps us when we can't make use of the little space we have. So in summary, I would say that when the teachers need instructional materials, they always have them. And since they know that it's not about faking, like I said, we are very real, you're realistic. You're not teaching, you're not playing to the gallery. You want these children to get the best, and you give their best. Our Foundress says only the best is good enough for the Lord. So every teacher knows some of those sayings that prompt them to action. You must do your best. In July, for instance, this is what our Foundress says: it is better to have no workers than to have the wrong kind. Can you imagine this type of saying? If you are not doing it, getting it right, your conscience will break you. And then from time to time, we call people for seminar. We give them workshops in here or out there. Those we think are better than us, they come and give in-service training. We also encourage most of them to upgrade. There are people who came in here as first degree, now they are masters. Some who came as masters, they are looking forward to their PhD. So we don't want anybody stunted. And then the online programs to encourage them to do. During the lockdown, the COVID-19 lockdown, I think we were the only school around that was going virtual classroom. Some were just sending WhatsApp messages, but through God bless him, Solomon, what we had in our computer room, we didn't rest. That was our best time here. So our children learned while they were with us and learned also while they were at home. So we have gone digital.
Yeah. Presently, we are facing contemporary challenges about some having the argument that training the girl child is better than training and easier than training the boy child. Do you agree with these contemporary realities, or do you have some other things that you would like to share with us, especially experiences of whether opting for a co-educational institution or some other challenges that you feel that our situation today we should address that is more than this?
Those who form the character of children form the character of the nation. Be constant in training children in what is right, what will help them to be good citizens of their nation, to be good Christians, God-fearing and God-loving at all times. Mother Foundress emphasizes, I want to take hold of a great multitude of our girls and ground them in elements of Christianity and civilized womanhood. I told you earlier that she came more for the girl child because at that time the boys were almost settled. You know, it's your world. You came here, only one girl child came with you. Eh? What percentage would you give that? So back to the real question. For me, I don't see it as a problem, either girl or boy. You see, I think it's all about loading. And you can see people also want to be transgender and all that. Luckily for me, I have taught in both schools. I told you earlier, I taught in the seminary for 7 years. So I have been with boys for 7 years. I wasn't a visiting teacher. I was living in the seminary. I was working as the chief sacristan and matron and teaching English language. That was where I taught Stan. So I have experienced boys. And as for girls, whoa. So if I'm 26 years plus as a sister, when you minus 7 years, the remaining 19 years I have spent with girls. I've also visited schools, who are practicing both the co-educational. So I have tested this, tested that. That's three aspects. For me, it shouldn't really be an issue. If you know what is good for the boys, give it to them. They will grow in that area. If you know what is good for the girls, you give it to them. Then when they are together, what you now have to manage is their sexuality. That's what you have to manage. But if they grew up like balanced children, it won't also be a problem. Because our society already has a problem. So that's why we're like trying to shield. We want to hide under this gender thing. It has nothing to do with the real training of a growing adolescent. I think I will proceed there, or maybe if I really would want to say more, you rephrase the question. For me, it's not an issue. Okay, if we are working where girls are, look out for what should make them blossom and bloom. If you are working for where boys, we are working where boys are, you also look out for that. Then when you combine them, train them to avoid unhealthy competition, and you see they will excel.
Then I believe there are areas that the government and also non-governmental organizations, there are some areas that they could come in to help some of our institutions in the rural areas. And could you highlight those areas that are very important and very essential that they could assist to make sure that some of these schools in the rural areas, they are not seen on the list, especially with regards to the ranking, and also with regard to what we see today and some of the challenges we have in our educational system.
Yes, there is really much, so much to be done. You may think that so much has already been done, but we still need to do more. My congregation, the Handmaids of the Holy Child Jesus, during our 10th General Chapter, challenged every handmaid to look out for something else to do beyond your primary assignment. Like now, my primary assignment is teaching, not even administration. That was a big man problem. So when some of us went out, like our mother, to launch into the deep, we discovered that even in our environment, apart from education of this girl child or boy child or what, there's so much problem, that needs attention of this NGO. But the fact is that most of the NGOs want fame before they do the real work. So they could just gather a few children under the tree, make rain to fall on them, video them, tell them to shout and cry that they need roof where they can be. Those are packaging. So the wrong packaging of these NGOs have led us to where we are. Because these early missionaries, if they came with the same mindset, you and I will not be where we are today. They were very, very selfless. Majority of them were selfless. So if the present NGO can be selfless and really go deep into the hinterland, they will discover that these schools built by the government, whether they were for the early missionaries taking over and taking over again, are all dilapidated. So many schools, there are no pews. We had to donate chalk when I discovered that we had boxes of chalks here. We were using blackboard before, but now that we have all gone to whiteboard, we don't need those chalks. So during those launching out into the deep, we discovered these schools that needed chalk. We carried it and gave them. In the process, we discovered other things that we had as an existing school that we used in supporting them. So if these NGOs really are out to do extra that is not for money, there's so much to be done. Just visit one old primary school. You discover there's no toilet, no urinary, no infirmary. And these are the things children will naturally do. They must find way to ease themselves. Sure, they will fall sick, they need care, but these basic things are not there. So I am calling on them to look out for the basics, those things that you need before a school can really flourish, so that those in the villages can breathe from fresh air too.
In few words, what can you tell some of the principals that we have today in some institutions, and also the would-be principals, or some words of advice and also encouragement for them?
Our Foundress, I will always refer to, in one of her sayings, mentioned that we need to, make each child to keep true all through his or her life to what is good. For this, we must know the weak point of each one's character, teach her to know it herself, and for her to desire self-conquest. If every administrator has purified his or her intentions, he or she will excel. The last question you asked me, you notice I was repeating selfishness and selflessness. It's very important to get in touch with your feeling. What is propelling me? Why am I here? Most people most of these my colleagues may not have known why they are where they are because of money. I wouldn't say I am different, but I would also say I am different in a way, because as an administrator in the congregation of the Handmaids of the Holy Child Jesus, I don't have any allowance. I am not on salary. So just like the life of the early Christians, my sisters and I in the community will receive our gifts, our supply, our feeding from the same source. Even a sister that is professed yesterday has the same pocket money as myself. No difference. In fact, the only people who have difference in supply are the sick ones, the weak and the infirm, who have to pay for drugs for diabetes, high blood pressure, and other things that could come out. So what I'm trying to say is that the quest for power, money, fame may not allow the school administrators to be at their best. But if everything were to be what it should be, I can now encourage them in these words. Just be steadfast. Purify your intention. Serve like it is only for God. Work for souls. Mother Foundress says, I must put all personal feelings aside now and consider the work for souls. So if they can have that at the back of their mind, I'm not talking about Muslim administrators, I'm talking about Christians. And what I just said is about what Christ said. So if they put all personal feeling aside and consider the work of souls, they will see that the children entrusted to their care are paramount, and they will do their best. I suggest they try it. It is working for me, and I think it can work for them. But it's not easy. It hasn't been easy, and it will never be easy. It's only that the grace of God is sufficient.
So thank you, sister, for the time and also for granting us this wonderful opportunity to speak with you and also to experience the school.
Sister, on behalf of the entire Matter TV, we are glad to be here to have you with us today. And we are wishing you more strength and grace as you continue to pilot the affairs of this institution. Thank you, sister. It's a pleasure.
His face shine upon you. May the Lord bless you wherever you go. Amen. Success, safety, protection, grace of God.